Alright, hey guys, it's Leroy Diesel. Got a very different video for you today. I have not seen this on YouTube or anything. I haven't seen it anywhere online. I've been searching for a long time, and so when I didn't see the video, I thought I better make one. I've got an Audi TT, and it's been sitting over here on my by my shop for probably a couple years actually. And the other day I wanted to go ahead and get it fired up, and it would not fire. Diagnosed it to the fuel pump not working. So I started taking the fuel pump out. I'll show you that here either in this video, or I'll get some other little clips and put them together. But when I took the tank, or took the fuel pump out, basically it just crumbled on me. The hoses, they just crumbled. And this is what was left all down in the tank. I mean, look at that wiring. It's actually exposed bare wires that looks like it's been in a fire. I don't know if that was a chemical fire. I think the last tank of gas I put in that Audi must have probably been a tank of acid. I mean, that's how bad this crap is. But look at this. I mean, all this hoses and everything's just crumbled. So on the Audi, what you have is I can't talk. The design of the tank. There are, on the driver's side, there's a lower portion to it, and then the same thing on the passenger side. So hydraulically, the two can't level out with each other, so that you can draw from each side equally. Hopefully that's making sense. Basically, it's an uneven tank, and you've got to do something in order to draw from the lowest point in the tank. So what they've done is they've got the original fuel pump, and the top half of that's missing. As a matter of fact, it looks like that. There's a brand new one. But so you've got this in the tank, and then you've got one of the fuel lines goes to the filter, and then on up to the engine. One of them gets diverted to this hose, which I'm not actually sure how this works. Maybe one of you guys can enlighten me if there's any YouTubers out there that know more about this than I do. But I'm assuming that pressure is being shot down through this hose, and it's created a Venturi effect and drawing fuel and then transferring it back over to the passenger side in this case. I don't know if the Europeans are opposite, but anyway, on this side it would be pushing fuel back over to the passenger side of the tank, and then that way the fuel pump can now pick up all the fuel that's in the tank. Hopefully that made sense. So again, I haven't seen anything about this on YouTube or anywhere actually, and so I wanted to show this mainly. Is that it's kind of a two-piece design system. And you might get into it thinking, oh, I just need a fuel pump, and then if you had this happen, then you're going to need both sides. And I guess in hindsight, I could have probably just repaired this with some submergible fuel line and just done this. But I mean, this was in such bad shape that I was like, nah, I'm just going to get new stuff. So I'll just give you a real quick shot of the new part numbers and what the new stuff looks like. That's the new fuel pump. Oh, speaking of which, I was just about to point at the fuel sending unit. Both pieces have a fuel sending unit on them, so I don't know what that's about either. Again, maybe somebody can explain that one to me. The fuel pump side has a fuel sending unit, and then this side also has one, which is off of it right now, but it has one also. Don't know exactly why they would need two. So here's the new one. Get a shot of the part number. This is the Delphi. And you can pause the video, get that part number. Here's the other side, which I think they call it a jet pump, if I'm not mistaken. But you can, let me see if I can focus that. You can get a part number. It's not wanting to cooperate. Anyway, in case this is not cooperating, the part number is 8L9919673, P as in Paul. And then I've got the two O-rings that go up and seal, like right here. They seal the tank to the sending unit and the pump. And so that's what this is, and then here is that part number. So that's it. I will get another video when I start on that process, but there she is sitting over there in the corner. Hopefully it'll fire up and I'll be able to drive it. Catch you on the next one. Okay, so here we're in the back seat of the Audi. I won't go into too much detail about this. There's other videos that show you how to remove the fuel sending unit, which is on this side, which is the passenger side. And so I was explaining earlier, when I took the fuel pump out, which is in this hole, basically all that crap just crumbled and fell down into the bottom. And I actually thought, oh wow, I'm gonna have to drop the tank. I didn't know where those lines went to. And I looked over there on the driver's side, and it was just sort of a cap looking, well, oh no, that's not it right there either, but there was just sort of a cap looking thing. So I thought, oh well, that must just be where they put the fuel pump for a European car. And then I said, well, what the hell, let me pull that thing off. And then sure enough, it was that whole assembly, which I showed you in the last video. But that's all I'm doing, just showing you that that Venturi or jet pump or whatever the hell you want to call that thing, it goes over there in that side, and it comes apart the exact same way as this fuel pump side does, but it just draws fuel from the lower side of that tank. You can see how low it goes, and it would have to come up over the transmission tunnel and into this side. So that's what that does. All it does is transfers fuel from over there to this side of the tank, where the fuel pump can then pick it up and send it to the motor. So that's really about it. I've never seen anything to do on YouTube or anything about that side, so wanted to bring that up. And then if anybody's got any good information as far as how that Venturi, I keep calling it Venturi, but how that side actually draws the fuel and pumps it back over here, I'd be kind of interested to know that. And then also, why are there two fuel sending units as far as, you know, for the tank level that sends it to the gauge? That's it. Y'all have a good one. Okay, so very quick video. Got this thing out of the package, and I forgot to tell you that over on this end, this goes in the driver's side. This is going to fish up over the tank. There's kind of a shape. You'll see what I'm talking about if you ever get into this job. But this needs to go over the hump and over to the passenger side, like I was showing you in that earlier video. And then here's this white, I don't know what you technically call this, but it's a clip or a retainer that will go into the fuel pump. It kind of clips into it. You've got the quick disconnect here, which clips into the fuel pump, and then you've also got the fuel sending unit level, the float connection here. And by the way, I siphoned out all the fuel out of those tanks, or the one tank, but both sides. And I wouldn't suggest this, but again, I siphoned all the fuel out. Then the tanks, I left the doors open on the car for probably a good week. I would come out here every day and open the doors, because I knew while I was waiting on parts that those fumes were just going to be penetrating everything in that interior. So I was trying to keep it aired out. So the tanks are completely, or I keep saying tanks, it's one tank, is completely aired out and dry. So the part that I'm not recommending you do, but I did, is use a vacuum cleaner to vacuum up all the little bits and crap that were down inside that tank. And I got that pretty clean. Hopefully you might see this. Let me grab my flashlight. So yeah, you can see right there, that tank is pretty well spotless now. And another thing,
It's hard to work back here. This thing is so small. But look at these wires. That's crazy. The insulation is just gone, and they just crumbled. Yeah, crazy. I've never seen that. So I was joking earlier when I said I think I got a tank full of acid, but I mean, it sure looks like it. Anyway, I'll get another video as that goes in, and then I'll get another one of the fuel pump just kind of hooked up and working, and won't bore you with too much with all that. Like I say, there's a bunch of videos on that one. Okay, so I've got the driver's side sending unit slash fuel pickup slash cap. You can see that when that thing's installed, I'll show you that in the next video, that it just sort of looks like a cap. Got the new O-ring on both sides. That's important. Get a couple new O-rings. I'm calling them O-rings. They're tank seal, whatever you want to call them. But you're going to fish these lines and the two wires over to the passenger side, which I'm actually grabbing them now. I'm going to gently pull them as I push this side in. I don't know, maybe I can get that on video. Let's see. Like it's in there. So you just want to feed that in there. I'm pulling with my left hand and feeding this down with my right. Well, I'm not going to bore you with watching me do that. But anyway, you catch the idea. I'm going to get that buttoned up, and then I'll catch a video of it when it's done. See you. Okay, so there it is buttoned up. And you can see that this just looks like a cap right now. So it kind of fooled me into thinking this was just a cap, and that the fuel pump on the European models went over here, which was just me assuming, being a dumbass. But once I pop this off, you just take a screwdriver or the proper tool. They do make a special tool for this, but I just used a screwdriver and a rubber mallet and tapped it off, and that comes right off, and you see everything I just showed you. Just wanted to show you that buttoned up. Once you get that, then obviously it's just kind of a matter of putting it back like it was. I'm not going to bore you with any details of watching the fuel pump side. There's at least 5 or 6 good videos on YouTube about that, if not more. But like I say, I've never seen anything on this side. Pretty crazy. So just thought I would show that. And by all means, anybody that's got the expertise out there, I'm not an Audi Volkswagen guy. This is not my norm. I usually deal with the 6.5 diesel stuff. Let me know what you think. Have a good one. Okay, so I think this is going to be the last clip. Got the fuel pump buttoned up right in there. Again, I'm not going to bore you with those details. Many videos on YouTube showing that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to leave it like this for a couple days. I'm going to put fuel back in the tank, and then just make sure that I don't smell any fuel, anything like that getting into the cabin. If I do, then it's got to be those O-rings, or I didn't tighten that up well enough, which pretty sure I did, but just as a precaution, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going back to when I got those off on each side. I siphoned fuel out of the tank at that point into those gas cans over there. You can see them there, and let this thing air out. But what I wanted to stress was, I told you I used a vacuum cleaner to clear out all the crap that was down in there, all those bits of hoses, insulation, all of that. But I'm telling you right now to just do not use that method. Now that I've kind of come back and thought about it, for me, I was real sure about it. I knew there were no fumes in there, but that could be a really dangerous way to do that, because if you're sucking up fumes, right, I got to talk with my hands, if you're sucking up gas fumes into a vacuum cleaner, you could fill that whole thing with fumes,
and that's just an electric motor. If you catch a spark on that thing, you're going to have an explosion. So do not use that method. I'm not taking any liability if you want to do that. So just wanted to stress that. Anyway, I guess maybe I'll get another video after she's fired up and running, just to kind of prove my theory that that was a fuel pump and I didn't do all this for nothing. Have a good one. Okay, so literally I just put fuel in it, put the battery in it, and I'm gonna try to fire this thing up. I haven't even cranked on it yet. Hopefully it fires right up and see how it goes. Man, that is freaking awesome. Fired pretty much right up as soon as fuel hit the engine. Hopefully that's all that was wrong with it. It's been sitting here for a couple years. Poor baby. This is the 3.2 liter Quattro. It's actually what they call the S-Line. Right there. This thing is filthy. I've had it covered the majority of the time the last 2 months, which was the worst time I should have took the cover off. I took the cover off, and this tree and every other tree for miles around has been blowing right on this thing. It's like it's snowing right now. You see all these little drops, and they're literally falling by the thousands. But anyway, back to the car. I'm excited about that. I need to get some new tires. That'll be the next thing I do. I'm going to change the Haldex fluid. I've got that coming. As a matter of fact, I need to go pick it up. Got the wrench coming, and do the transmission service and tires, and I'm going to start driving this thing. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, if you have any input on that fuel pump or that jet pump, which was on the driver's side, let me know. Have a good one.